Hello everyone, Mr. Happy here, and in this video I want to go over with you some of the changes that are coming to Final Fantasy XIV's PvP in patch 3.26. Now for those who don't know, patch 3.26 is the official start of the season 2 weeks later than we anticipated it was going to be, mostly because they wanted to make more serious balance and adjustment changes. So we do have quite a few big points to hit here. Some of them are recent changes that are seeing balances, and some of them are just changes that needed to happen in the first place, especially the ninja one. Well, one of the ninja changes. So first of all, casting interruptions is actually going to be changed from the way it was added to the way it's going to be working now. Before, at the beginning, every time you get hit, casting a spell gets interrupted. Then they made it so that 15% of your maximum HP and damage needs to be dealt during the cast in order to successfully interrupt it. Which, by the way, I barely ever noticed worked, because most casters are so good that if they're going to stop to cast something, they're using some sort of spell or ability that'll makes it so that they don't have to worry about being interrupted. But because people started stacking Vitality, and by started I mean people new to the feast, Vit stacking has been nothing new for those who have been doing Secure Slaughter and Seize all this time. They're changing the way that the interruption actually works. So now it's going to be closer to the max HP of you without any Vitality accessories. That's the amount of damage you're going to have to deal. The reason why I can't really say, oh, it's 10%, it's 15% is because it's actually not a percentage of your HP anymore. It's based on item level. So basically, like if you're doing Fold or you're doing the Feast, depending on what your item level cap is, it's going to change what your actual percentage of health, or how much health it needs to be taken away during a cast in order for you to be interrupted. He says that he's very complicated. They didn't post the exact means of how it works, but he said, in other words, the threshold to interrupt casting will be automatically calculated based on item level and class job level, and will be unaffected by HP boosting buffs and Vitality accessories. So stacking Vitality now is simply a means of survival, not a means of making your spells even harder to interrupt. Gonna see how this actually works out. This should make spellcasting a little bit more, I guess, balanced in a sense, because healers were damn near unbreakable as of recent. Unless you could do something like one-shot them in 2 seconds, which you should be trying to do in PvP anyway, it was rough. So interested to see how this new formula ends up affecting their interruptions on casting. So then also PvP ratings and matchmaking. Now I'm sure I'm not the only one who's noticed that you could be bronze or unranked and be thrown against a diamond ranked player. But that was actually intentional, and we knew that for some time, that they deliberately made sure that there was almost no real PvP rating and matchmaking ELO-esque system to match people, because they wanted people playing more matches to gather more information. When the season actually starts, the way it's going to work is you as a player cannot encounter a player that is more than +1 or -1 of your current ranking. So basically, let's say that you are gold, right? You're right smack dab in the middle of the 5 rankings. You could not play with a player who's lower than silver or higher than platinum. So they said that they're thinking about making it so that if there's not enough people queuing, it'll actually extend that a little bit further. But they said they haven't given us the exact details on it yet. They're also planning on making more adjustments to the rating system, especially when you're in a lower tier, because they want you getting out of the lower tiers a little bit faster. Things like that, well, I don't want to say small changes, because getting out of unranked bronze, silver a lot faster is going to be interesting, because that means people could get to gold a lot faster, and then they get matched up against the gold platinum type players. So interested to see how that works out. Now they're going to be making more adjustments in Season 2. They're not going to utilize that expanded system until Season 2, where it can go above the +1, -1. They just want to see what the results are for the feast here in Season 1. Now, the heavy metal debuff has been subject to a lot of criticism. I don't want to say it's been subject to a lot of criticism, but it's been one of the more confusing aspects for players to adjust to when it comes to the feast. Generally, what you do is, if you're just completely stomping a team, you don't want to stick all of them on one person. You want to spread them out a little bit so that nobody goes up to like 4 to 9 stacks. And then if somebody on your team dies, they immediately become responsible for picking up the next set of coins that you get from the enemy team, because they won't get any stacks because they're already under 100. However, it's still been deemed a little bit concerning that it is too easy to kill certain people as soon as they pick up a 4th stack, or even go all the way up to the God forbidden 9th stack. But now we're going to be able to go all the way up to 10 stacks, and each of the stacks are going to be 12% damage each, down from the 15% we had in the most recent patch. So basically, the most you'll be able to see is the 120%, and that's the 10th stack at 250 coins. Now, 250, I believe, was the threshold for 9 medals before. Now, the threshold for 9th stack medals is 240, and that's 108%. So it went down from the 9th stack being 135% to 108%. So we should see quite a meaningful difference. I mean, 3% damage on average is going to be a big difference. I mean, look, the 30% down to 24%. Most of the time I see people get to the 4th stack very easily, because if you kill 2 people on the enemy team, that's 100 medals right off the bat. That's down to 12%. That's pretty meaningful when it comes to survivability. So interested to see again how the heavy metal changes work. It may actually defeat the thing. They wanted to slow down matches. I mean, they wanted to speed up matches more, but with all the heavy metals, I do agree that the higher the stacks you get, it sort of slows the game down, because then you start playing a bit more passively, or you start just playing a little bit more protect the person with the metals, and you start playing to actually win the game. So with this, we should see people not as afraid to jump into the fray with the heavy metal stacks. But I mean, bottom line is, if you're winning and you have a minute left, most people are still going to run around and just try to avoid having that one player with the metals die. I don't see that playstyle changing. And also, as a ninja, well, let's just say that it's always quite hilarious to get 10 stacks in this case and then just go hide in a corner. I'm just throwing that out there. It's a little bit fun to do. They also are changing things like the rate of adrenaline flow and the way that certain jobs function in the feast itself. So adrenaline will now charge no matter what, while even if you're not in combat, adrenaline gauge is charging 30% more in 4v4 and twice as fast in 8v8, which means you're going to be seeing a lot more adrenaline rushes in 8v8, which I think will make the mode a little bit more fun. It depends. I haven't done 8v8 really since the day of launch, because I'm just so much more of a fan of doing like 4 versus 4 light party. But with the adrenaline gauge filling, it's going to be interesting in 4v4 too, because a lot of the times basically you get 1 adrenaline, and unless you get lucky and like you stay in combat for so long that you end up getting a second one off, it's pretty much right in the last minute and a half, everyone coordinates their adrenalines, and whoever coordinates them better wins the game, if the game lasts that long. So now that there's probably going to be a couple of more adrenalines in the match, we're going to have earlier adrenalines, which could mean matches actually end faster from trying to kill that one target that's preventing you from finishing the game. It's going to be interesting to see how that actually functions. And then they're doing some other things. Let's see. It's not in combat. Carefully consider the timing of their actions. Should lead to more interesting tactics. Job-specific changes. I guess we'll just move right on to that. Many of you provided feedback that the duration of the animation lock during Empyrean Rain was too long. Empyrean Rain is, if I'm not mistaken, that is the healing one, which is understandable, because in PvP, if you're locked in place as a healer, you're no, not good. So they're going to be shortening that, so healers are getting another buff in that sense. However, we are seeing some balance changes when it comes to casters, machinists, Dark Knight, and ninjas here. So sleep, easily the most powerful CC in the game right now when it comes to PvP. Black mages are having theirs toned back a little bit. There's regular sleep durations being brought down to 12 seconds in PvP, and Nightwing, which is a PvP only instant cast sleep, it's being brought down to 8 seconds. But however, the enhanced Nightwing will be 12 seconds, so Black Mages still have 2 12-second sleeps pretty much. Now, White Mage's repose has also been a huge problem. It's very common, and they note that here that Fluid Aura into repose is probably the go-to combo for a White Mage trying to CC somebody who's on their ass, and I completely agree. Repose is incredibly frustrating despite being a single target sleep. I've won games entirely off of our White Mage sleeping the enemy healer and then not being able to do anything on top of the stun locks with the tank. So I completely understand why they're reducing repose down to this rating. Also, it is one of the sole reasons why White Mage is one of the 2 go-to healers in the feast. For example, Astro, not very CC heavy. It has some things. Obviously, it has Stella for the slow, and then it's got all of its utility, and it's got its insane mobility to make up for the fact it doesn't have a crazy amount of CC. Whereas White Mage has things like slows, binds, knockbacks, sleeps. It's got a crazy amount of CC. So it's good to see that one of them is toned back, because I still think White Mage is going to be one of the strongest jobs in the feast. Machinists Between the Eyes, which is their insane CC, I'm sorry, their insane nuke ability that does more damage under CC targets. It got its potency reduced down to 150 when it's enhanced. and it's down to 120 when not enhanced. This ability was just so strong. I've been hit for 7k by Between the Eyes when it's fully buffed while I'm CC'd, because it does double the, I believe it's double the potency when a target is stunned or bound or something. I think when a target's stunned, it does double the potency. So doing the 360 potency on top of all the other things Machinists could do, oh. So I can understand, again, why they're bringing that down. Now, Dark Knight, these changes are interesting because there's actually a PvE change listed here, which means that Dark Knights are inherently getting a PvE buff on patch 3.26 as well. That PvE buff is that Dark Arts, the ability that allows them to buff a great number of their skills, is having its recast time reduced from 5 seconds to 3 seconds. That's both PvP and PvE that change is happening in, which is going to mean interesting things for those who like to try and fit the Dark Arts Carve and Spit and the Dark Arts Soul Eater when it comes to their actual combo. Should make the burst for Dark Knight more significant, which is a big thing that they're probably trying to increase here in their PvP, is their burst damage with Dark Arts having its cooldown reduced. Now, Tar Pit and Carnal Chill are their two go-to PvP skills. These are the things that distinguish Dark Knight. Unfortunately, they have barely distinguished them at all since the Feast came out. So, Tar Pit is having its potency increased to a massive 300 when enhanced, which is a great thing for them. That is a whole hell of a lot more potency than before. 60 more than the old enhanced Tar Pit. Hell, even the non-enhanced Tar Pit is now stronger than the old enhanced Tar Pit, so that's pretty good. Recast time is being brought down by an entire minute if it's enhanced, and it actually will absorb a crap ton of HP. It went from absorbing 20% of the damage it dealt as HP to 150% when it's enhanced 200%. If you can land this on a full party, you will full heal yourself as a Dark Knight, so it's a much more meaningful skill for your tankiness as a job. Also, Carnal Chill, and this is the one I'm more excited about, is having its cooldown, again, brought down by an entire minute when enhanced, 30 seconds when not enhanced, and then its damage penalty, because this actually reduces the damage that targets deal when they get hit by Carnal Chill, is being brought all the way up to a 60% damage reduction. That means that if you hit an entire enemy team with Carnal Chill, you're going to reduce the damage they deal by 60% for 6 seconds. That is a pretty meaningful amount of damage to reduce, because I mean, 60%. Imagine that 6k, 7k Between the Eyes, bringing that down by 60%. That is a lot of extra damage to be bringing it down by. It's more than cutting it in half. It basically turns a 6k damaging ability into a 2400 damage ability. So I'm interested to see if this gives Dark Knight a landscape in PvP. The bigger issue with them was more often that they simply couldn't lock people down because they had too little CC. I'm curious to see if these solutions will make up for that lack of pretty much anything other than the boot to the face and getting that on a parry reset, which is all they really had. So I'm interested to see how it actually works out. Warrior, Storm's Eye, both Storm's Eye and Ninja's Dancing Edge are having the HP recovery decrease removed from the PvP regions. So that means that just means that healers again will be doing more healing even if there's a warrior or a ninja on the other team, because well, that component's just been removed. So same with Ninja, Dancing Edge has had that HP component removed. However, Fetterward is now available on Rogue and Ninjas. This was the one major complaint I had. I still think that some of the other PvP skills like Somersault and what's it called, Axe Kick and Skewer are better, although Skewer is also seeing some changes as well. What's it called? Fetter Ward basically means you're, what is it, immune to stuns, sleeps, disease, and heavies, I believe is what you're not able to be afflicted by. I can't remember. It's like 4 or 5 different things. But it basically means that you can stick on somebody for a good 12 seconds. And it's going to be a definite place you want to spend your PvP points as a ninja now. Don't know if it'll fix all the issues with ninja, because those aren't the only ones, but with Fetter Ward, I fully expect ninjas to be in a significantly better place, much closer to Monk and Dragoon, just on that alone, because not having that was awful. Dragoon is seeing some balance changes. Feint is having its duration reduced, and Skewer is also having its duration reduced. So that's just 2 hits. I mean, Dragoon I still feel is going to be probably one of the go-to melees. They're just way too strong right now. When combined with the burst of a Machinist or a Bard, disembowel into a Bard or Machinist burst is a very scary thing. So I fully expect them to still be in a very good spot. I wouldn't worry about these changes too much, but it is something to keep in mind. And also, Etherflow can no longer be removed by things like One Elm Punch and other PvP skills that remove beneficial effects as well. So you don't have to worry as a summoner or a scholar basically being taken out of the fight because the monk managed to hit you with One Elm Punch 5 times in a row with perfect balance, which is a change I felt that was needed, which is odd because Etherflow used to not be dispellable, and then they made it dispellable, and now it's no longer dispellable. It's been non-dispellable for it's been dispellable since like Secure or something like that, and now it's just like, all right. Yeah, we received a tremendous amount of feedback. Yeah, edited to clarify. Removed by enemy attacks. Yeah, because they said damage from the enemies, and I was like, that's not correct. What's it called? And they're still going to be making more feast adjustments as we go. I just want to make this video discussing my thoughts on some of the changes here. Let me know what your thoughts are on the PvP changes. Are you looking forward to the season starting next week? Are you going to be going for Diamond? Keep in mind that as soon as they give us the tools, I would like to host some tournaments, but Square Enix needs to give us the tools to host it without us needing to basically try to go around, beat around the bush, especially because we can't do things like queue on like French now in order to hold a tournament on Ether or something like that. Be sure to let me know what you think. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, and stay tuned for more information on Final Fantasy XIV's PvP. Until then, everyone, have a good day. I shot my intro. I shot my outro, whatever. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Till then, take care.